hello again, and welcome, superfans, to another episode of From the Great North to Wonder Wharf. Remember, this is the podcast that's all about you, the insanely creative fans of Bob's Burgers, the Great North, and all the terrific shows from Bento Box Entertainment. With me today, as ever, are JB.
Hello.
And we got Mike.
Hello.
Down in Florida. And you have me. I am Shinji Kojima, but you can call me Koji. Just don't call me if I owe you money. I owe people money. Yes. I love doing that line. Oh, it's so much fun to say. So by the way, North to Wharf, this podcast is all about you, the great fans of Bob's Burgers, the Great North, etc. We want this podcast to spread the joy that all of us have felt by working with the artists at Bento Box, and really to share that awesome truth that they genuinely just love us all right back. So every 30-minute show will spotlight a new fan artist with interviews, their work, their stories about how Bob's and the other shows have inspired them. I'll also have a lot of fun covering these shows, including the latest news, fan contests, giveaways, and a few bonus wacky bits here and there that we think you'll enjoy. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
This is only our second show, but this is going to be a tremendous one. But before we do that, newsy news, newsy news. Mike.
Thank you for that lovely lead in there, Keisuke. What was that? What was that little tune there? It sounded familiar.
That was from, there was a show called Gale of Thorns, I believe. It's about a lady and her magical cats.
Okay. I thought it sounded familiar.
She had a pit of porcelain babies, if I remember. Or was that the Lady Linda?
That's a very essential part of the story. Without the porcelain babies, you got nothing.
It makes no sense. Well, thank you, Keisuke. There's two major things that happened today. Today being March 2nd, two big news pieces. Duncanville is coming back for season 2 with the premiere set for May 23rd. And if that wasn't big enough, we have a brand new show that I literally found out just today called Housebroken. And that premieres on May 31st. That appears to be a similar to that movie Life of Pets. It seems to be centered around a group of pets. And beyond that, I'm kind of in the dark on what it is. Because like I said, I just heard about it today as they were announcing it. But
I'm very hopeful that they integrate the Gale of Thorns stuff in there.
But it seems like these two shows are going to be taking over when Bob's and come on, help me out, the Great North go on their little hiatus during the summer as a second animation block, like an animation domination block from Bento. So season 2 for Duncanville, May 23rd, and Housebroken will be premiering May 31st. I'm excited for both. Especially Housebroken. I have a thing for pets, and the list of actors and actresses acting on or voicing on that show is amazing. There's Lisa Kudrow, Will Forte is going to be on there as well, and he's on the Great North right now. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good.
And did they say we're getting 2 episodes of Duncanville in the premiere?
I don't know, but if you give me a quick second, I can confirm or deny that.
Confirm or deny.
Mike is checking that out. JB, you found a couple of tidbits as well, didn't you?
I did. I found a few little things out. For one thing, I found out from a reliable source that the Bob's Burgers movie logo is complete. It is ready, it is done, and it is going to be slapped on a bunch of merch. So
Allegedly.
Did you get any hint of what it's going to look like?
I did not, no. So you guys can all speculate, and fans, if you have designs, send them our way. We'd love to disprove or approve it.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's a little like, maybe it's more like this. Other side. There we go. Like that.
I gotta figure they're not gonna stray too far from the classic Bob's Burgers logo and maybe just toss the movie underneath it. But I mean, what do I know? I'm not a marketing genius, so.
I'm
But
still
It could be a
interested.
complete rip-off of the Avengers logo, but with Bob's fonts.
That could be funny too.
It'd be great if they like each poster was just a knockoff of like a really successful movie.
Mm-hmm. One of the like Marvel ones, and like it's just a side view of each character doing something. Bob
I
holding
think
his
they would do
spatula.
great if they just recast all of Wonder Woman 84 with Bob's Burgers. So Linda is Wonder Woman. Steve Trevor, that's Bob, of course. We
It'd
can
be
just keep
great if
going
they
with
just
that.
reshot Wonder Woman 84. And I'll leave it at that.
And
Inner
JB, was
nerd
there
comes
anything
out.
else?
I did have something else. Why am I blanking on what that was? I know we're going to go into and we're going to talk a little bit about Comic-Con getting put all online this year, and then next year it's going to come back. And then they said something very small in person in November, but I think Mike had more information on that one.
Yeah, from what we're hearing, and the official word came out just the other day, all WonderCon and both the Comic-Con San Diego, New York are both going digital again, with the hopes of having a smaller, more intimate in-person thing in November. But beyond that, we have no details.
Well, November's a good long way away, and hopefully by then, this elusive herd immunity should be well on its way. So we can hope that the world improves by then.
We can only hope.
Yes.
And
I did check, Mike. It will be a
Okay.
2-episode premiere for Duncanville, so that is going to be will be 2-episoder.
absolutely.
Nice.
And that
All
again
right,
is
and that, ladies and gentlemen,
3rd and
that was the news. You don't know that riff. That's completely original
freestyle.
riff. No one's ever used it.
An original Koji.
That's all, folks.
Well, okay. Well, that's enough foolishness. That's enough fooling around now. We've really got to get down to this, which is actually our second episode, but is our first very special episode. It's kind of like we're on the CW or, doing a Lifetime movie. But it's much better than that. This is not that thing, folks. We have here a very ultra super special interview for all fans of Bob's Burgers, but not just of Bob's Burgers. And for a little bit more on the information of that, let's turn it over to the person in charge of this special interview, Mr. Mike Heidbreeder.
Hey, thank you, KSK. Yeah, if you're a fan of Bob's Burgers, any of the Bento properties, basically, or Family Guy, The Cleveland Show, American Dad, the list goes on. You've seen this company's products, the t-shirts, their pins, their totes everywhere. Of course, I'm talking about Toddland. They have won our Booth of the Con for like the last 3 or 4 years running. All their stuff. 4 years running, thank you. All their stuff sells out immediately. People clamor, they fight over this stuff. You know it, you probably own a bunch of it like we all do. But yeah, Todd was gracious enough to sit down with us for about an hour or so. Just talk to us about how he got into the business, how Toddland became what it is, how hard it is to actually put out a piece of merch, whether it be a t-shirt or anything like that, and all the pitfalls that come along with that. And I think the audience and the viewers are really going to dig it. So.
All right, thanks very much, Mike. And here we go with the interview from Great North to Wonder Wharf with Toddland.
Hey folks, Mike here. Quick sidebar. I want to give a big shout out to Instagram user The Drawing Junkie, who correctly guessed that our first guest was Pen to Paper Studios. I should have did it last week. I forgot about it. I'm so sorry. Now, back to the show. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's interview. I'm not really sure what we're calling this yet, but this week we're actually sitting down with Todd from Toddland. And if you've been around for the last handful of years, yes, if you've been around for the last handful of years, you've been to cons, you picked up any Bob's Burgers merch, if you've seen anything online, odds are it's come from Toddland. If you've seen their cool masks, the one with the grizzly bears with the wings and the lasers, or see, is that a preview of this year's stuff there?
Are you kidding me? We don't even do that the night before. Yeah, you're right. Come on, please. There's a post-it with what's happening with this year on it. That's as far as we got.
This is as official as we're gonna get. In the last handful of years, if you've seen the Pride stuff from Simon, all that stuff's come from Toddland. So 99% of the stuff you know and love have come from this gentleman right here and the hard folks who work over at Toddland. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd.
Hooray!
You look beautiful, Todd, I must say.
I showered this morning because you guys were like, oh, it's gonna be on the video thing instead of just the phone thing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shower and comb the beard and all those things.
It is very appreciated. We could smell that you showered. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. That new smell-o-vision on Zoom was a bad idea, but it's working today.
And hey, look who's joined us. It is our third host, JB.
Finally decided to show up.
Sorry, guys.
No,
All right, it's a Zoom pandemic meeting. What do you expect?
All right. Well, again, we only have you here for a short time, but thank you for sitting down with us, Todd. We really appreciate this. As you know, we're a fairly new show, and we're kind of fan-centric, and we love to talk to folks who were in the Bob's Burgers Bento Box world, and you are certainly one of those on the Mount Rushmore of fans who work with them. So thank you for sitting down with us today.
Of course.
I guess first and foremost, for those who don't know, how did Toddland come about?
The kind of quick story is a long time ago, back in the day, I went to Michigan State. I got a degree in advertising. I was supposed to be a creative director. From that, the short version is I went to work for Abercrombie and Fitch in Columbus, Ohio. I think you know where that is. And
I do.
Yeah, so a hard time in Reynoldsburg and then New Albany. But I was there for a little while, and then I got poached from Abercrombie to come out here and work for a company called Modern Amusement in Santa Monica. So I did that for a couple years. And then I did, Paul Frank was trying to recruit me, a Little Monkey Company, for a bunch of years. And then Paul Frank just called on the right day when I made a $300 pair of wool cashmere cranberry crane slip-ons. Modern Amusement was ridiculous. It was amazing, but it was ridiculous. So I was like, yeah, no, I'll come work there. So then I came down and worked there for a while, and then they had some ownership changes. And through that whole process, they switched over to like a licensing model and took it to Kohl's and Sears and JCPenney's and Target. And I did the men's line, and that doesn't really fit. So they were going more like the Hello Kitty model, and I do more like, I'd done the men's line at Paul Frank for a couple years and kind of brought it back to what it used to be, which was very like corduroys, pocket protectors, Michael Cera, that kind of innocent awkwardness. And that, because that's what Paul Frank was. And I kind of brought it back, and we got a lot of the business back, and then they switched models. So what happened was Urban Outfitters was basically like, look, we don't care that it's Paul Frank, it's yours, it sells. We can't have Paul Frank in the store because they're doing Hello Kitty stuff for JCPenney's. Like, it's not the same thing. I was like, all right, they're like, well, just come work here. And I'm not working for you guys. And they were like, well, just be West Coast Design and fly out. I'm like, not working for you guys. I'm like, I'll just start my own thing. You guys buy it. And they're like, even better. So I'm like, cool. So then that's how Toddland started. And then we were doing like Amazon and Nordstrom's and all those kind of guys for a while. And then the business model changed a little bit, and we got into licensing because we saw people we wanted to play with. So we started playing with the Aquabats. Started playing with them first for a little while, and then the Aquabats are from the Yo Gabba Gabba camp. And I mean, there's no spoilers now. Everybody's seen WandaVision, so that's kind of cool this week. But so we're really good buddies with the Yo Gabba Gabba camp, and then that turned into like a kid robot relationship. That turned into Adventure Time coming out, and I was like, I'll work with them. And then Warner Brothers and Turner and those guys made some calls, and they were like, yeah, Penn Ward over at Adventure Time's like, I love Todd, let him do whatever he wants. So the licensees kind of hated that, because like when the showrunners are like, let this kid do what he wants, they don't have a choice and they have to work with us. So Adventure Time turned into a thing with Lucasfilm, and then that turned into a thing with Bob's, and then Bob's turned into Family Guy turned into American Dad turned into Robot Chicken, and now there's a bunch of other things in work that we can't talk about, but there's probably a good reason I'm on this podcast. So, but yeah,
I've seen the news the last couple of days with stuff coming out of Bento, so I assume, without giving anything away, that we may see stuff from Todd for these shows.
Possibly. I mean, Todd would love to see the contracts for these things. There's a lot of things that are happening that aren't on a piece of paper yet. That are just like anytime you want to send that email through so I can tweet this stuff would be just great. So yeah, I mean, we won't go into it or anything, but the Great North premiered last night, and there's no t-shirts for the Great North. So anyways, whole different deal.
Nah, yeah, there's always that last minute push that'll make all your hair turn gray.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So it's kind of a wild ride. Like it's fun, but you're just like, wait a minute, when's our premiere date? Okay, cool. Wait, we're premiering 2 episodes early. Okay, the premiere date's now NASCAR's moving it. Okay, cool. Now, oh, so now there's 5 episodes streaming, and sure. WonderCon's in a month. Are we making anything? So it's good though. Like it's we love Bento and they couldn't be better to us. And there's a lot of fun stuff that we're just kind of sitting on our hands on and keeping our mouth shut about. So we're
Mm. Now, with that being said, stuff you're sitting on and unreleased stuff, is there anything that you can talk about that you've wanted to do, but for some reason they just said, no, we're not doing that. And we can't do it in the future.
With Bento and everybody we work with over there, we never really get a no. Like, cause I think like we have the kind of, we're on the same wavelength as them. And like LB, we understand what he's into and like what the cast and crew and everybody are into over there. So we do a really good job of lining up with like what we want to do with what works. And I think that's why our relationship is so good, is because we get it. So like very rarely will we put something in, and if it is a no, it's usually because there's a complicated reason why it's a no, or it's like a legal reason why it's a no. It's never we're off base with, oh my God, we would never do that as a show. That's I think why they like working with us so much, is because like Todd gets it. Like he understands like what this is. So like I think the only time we had pushback was like our Questronaut sweatshirt, like the first couple seasons. And everybody's like, nobody's gonna buy that. And I'm like, oh no, they're buying it. Like it's an Equestrian sweatshirt. It says Equestrian's down and it's purple sparkles. And they're like,
yeah,
I don't know about that. And I'm like, I do. And it's good. So like they get it. Like they're like, Todd, he gets it. Like he wants to make a Ken pin. Nobody's gonna care about that. I'm like, it's kind of one of our top pins. Like everybody kind of gets that. Like he's in it with the fans. He understands what the fans want. Like we hide out on Facebook pages and stuff. We listen to everybody. So it's kind of a fun thing. Like we don't really get told no. Like, and a lot of times they come to us. They're like, hey, would you make this? I'm like, let's do it. So.
Now, of course, there's the typical T-shirts, hoodies, pins, stickers, your normal merch that you would normally see with the show. Is there anything beyond the norm that you're looking to do, whether it be like figures like Kid Robot or the Funko stuff, or shoes, or anything that you can't just like, not just a T-shirt?
There's a ton of stuff. The problem is it all comes down to contracts.
Right.
So it's 100% legal is what it all is, because we have a ton of stuff we want to make. But if that's not in your 47-page contract, we need to add that. And then that's an addendum, which is 8 lawyers, that is 6 months to add that so we can sell 50 of something that we think is funny.
Right.
So it becomes kind of that's why we kind of stick to the categories. There's always other stuff. But it depends on what we can do. Like action figures are extremely hard because the mold fees are just obnoxiously expensive. So like we want to make something, it's like, cool, we want to do, like we've been trying to make the Equestronauts for years. So like, let's do a little Equestronaut. Well, if we do it with like somebody like Funko, your minimums are like 10,000 pieces, which we'll never sell. Like we'll never get through that many. And then if we want to do like a little mold of a toy or something, okay, well the mold fees start at $20,000. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to sell 200 of them, so that's not that the math doesn't work. So that's where we get into a lot of those things of like why we can or can't do things. Like one of the things we were playing with was cookie cutters. Like let's do cookie cutters. Like everybody's selling them on Etsy. They're not food safe. So like the PVC you print with for 3D printers isn't food safe. So yeah, I can buy a bunch of them and we can print them for $2 a piece. But the problem is to get them food safe, I need to order 100,000 of them.
Jesus.
And I won't do the ones that aren't food safe.
Of course.
So that's like where we run into with a lot of those things. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that like the fans suggest that we love. And we'll look into it, but it becomes a math thing on how much money will we lose? Will it break even? Or is this a good thing to do? So that's why we kind of stick to the pins and the T-shirts and stuff. We're starting to venture out into sweatshirts. Even things like pajamas are awesome. They have to be flame retardant tested. Okay, so that's a whole different thing too. So it's hard when you're our size and doing the small specialty runs to do that stuff. Because I mean, even when we max out on stuff, I think the most something we'll sell is a little T-shirt or a pin. That's usually about 600 pieces. So it's hard.
Now Toddland, of course, they sell stuff all year round. They're not. Well, let me say this again. they sell stuff all year round. Toddland.com, of course. You can get anything there. But your big stuff is always your con exclusives. People line up, they fight each other, they yell at each other, all to get these exclusives. With the pandemic, of course, last year and moving into this year, and all the cons moving to digital, how has that affected how you guys operate, at least these last 2 years?
So this year we're switching to more of a year-round model, starting with WonderCon. We're going to try to hit the major holidays. We're going to try to hit the premieres. So like if there's a new episode coming out, stuff for Valentine's Day just didn't happen in time. And also with the way the show's timelines are going right now, because you're producing shows, everybody's doing it from home. Like that's a whole different deal. And like the timelines are a little different now. We get to see a lot of stuff ahead of it before it coming out, but things are still being tweaked sometimes. Like we've been at Bob's for a table read on Friday, and the episode on Sunday is not done. So like it's a little hard to get ahead of things like that. Like I'm like, wait, what's this for? They're like, it's for Sunday. I'm like, what's wrong? They're like, it's still rendering. I was like, it's Friday at 4. They're like, uh-huh. So like it's kind of amazing how that stuff works. So you're like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's definitely been a little bit trickier. We miss seeing everybody face to face, and we have held a lot of items. So there is stuff that was for Comic-Con last year, because there's stuff I want people to get in person. Like there's mystery items, and those are more fun to give them out in person and to see people and their reaction and get them excited and stuff versus getting it at home. Like, so we have held a lot of merch back from that, and it's where we're at right now, and it's just hard. Like, so we were even talking about doing a pop-up in San Diego this year for pickups if Comic-Con cancels. But it's not happening. But there's just no way. Timeline-wise, it's just not going to happen. But do we do something here in Newport in our office where you can do pickups? Do we feel safe doing pickups? Mm-hmm. Is it easier just to ship it to people? Like, we're trying to come up with new fun things to do. Like, maybe we do a pop-up somewhere. But then we have to manage the line, and then it has to be safe, and then we're in California, so what time is it right now? What are the rules? Everything's open? Okay, nothing's open? Okay, now things are half open outside, now it's 3 feet, now it's no feet, now it's 2 masks, now it's no masks. You're like, yeah, I can't risk any money doing that. So like it's just a very weird thing. And obviously our merch changed a little bit, so like our burgers of the day are always like concentric, and now we're kind of poking fun at the pandemic a little bit more. So this week we put online, like, you guys tell us what they're going to be. And there's like, I don't know, there's like 5 of them that are just really, really good. So we're trying to figure out like what to do with them. But yeah, the fans are nailing it. Like, it's hilarious. So
will you be following the same model that you did last year? All the con exclusive stuff will be online. Folks can order it worldwide. You'll ship it to them.
Yeah, it's not worldwide. We can only do the US. Because again, it's a contract thing.
Gotcha.
We try to get Canada, but Canada's a whole different contract with whole different rules and you're like, oh my God, I just want to ship a t-shirt to Vancouver. So like it becomes what's the budget on how many do you ship versus how much of the paperwork is to send it? And you're just like, oh my God. So yeah. So we recommend anybody internationally just get a US friend and then just have it shipped to them. And then we're not in trouble. Like, we're not breaching any contract if we just ship it to a US address. After that, we don't care where it goes. So, and what has been cool is in the fan bases, in a lot of the fan pages on Facebook and stuff, people will offer to do that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm in Australia. I'd really love to get this. And somebody's like, dude, I'll just ship it to my address. I'll send it to you. And they're Bob's fans. They're not grifters. They're the nicest kids in the world. So you can usually trust anybody. Yeah. So that's kind of how we've been being completely compliant while also getting you stuff. So
that's actually how I got a WonderCon t-shirt 2 years ago. A fan was like, yeah, I'm going. And I was like, I really want this shirt and I want this pin. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Send me your address.
Yep. And they'll send it to you. And it sucks that that's how we used to have to do that stuff. So I think now, like, the future of cons, it's going to change a little bit. So what we may do is everything will be online to ship except for like 4 items. Mm-hmm. Those will be the ones you have to be at the con to get. But who knows? Like, I mean, we're expecting cons to maybe come back the end of the year. I think once everybody gets both vaccinations, the game will change a little bit in terms of what people are comfortable with. I think once that happens, everybody will have a better comfort level of just going out in public and doing things. Like, do I want to shake hands and take pictures and hug 5,000 people in a weekend right now? No. Maybe by November, I might feel okay with that again. I just think it's too. So yeah, I'm with JB. I don't touch anybody. But yeah, I think that's what we got to look at, is just seeing where they were going to be with that and how comfortable people are with that. I know people are scheduling stuff. We're not scheduling anything yet. So the good thing is, like, we're not jerks, but like we're big enough at the last second to be like, yeah, we'll go. They'll get us a spot, like, for something. Like, everybody, Comic Con's a different beast. And I saw online people got a little mad about that with some stuff, but like, I think a lot of people forget that there's just thousands of people behind the scenes making these things happen. And you've got talents and celebrities that aren't going to want to go because they aren't going to feel safe.
Yeah.
You've got hotels that aren't booked. You've got convention centers across the country that are being used for homeless shelters and vaccine distribution sites. So you can't really have Dragon Con in Atlanta and kick out the vaccination site. Like, that's kind of a hard thing to do. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things going on that people are like, no, you need to have it. And you're like, nah, there's a lot going on. Like, hey, okay, so you have volunteers working Comic-Con. Do they all need to be vaccinated? Are you getting them vaccines? How does this work to have your volunteer staff working? And people just forget about that because they want a toy. So
in that case, I think we found the perfect matching now for your next partner. I think you should do Bob's Burgers and Merck Pharmaceuticals. So
right?
therefore, yeah, so you can get a Bob's Burgers labeled vaccination. Plus, you get to keep the syringe.
Look, I'll label it however they want. If they give me 0.025% of Merck's advertising budget, sure. Like,
And maybe 5 doses of that stuff, whatever.
yeah, five or 6. I think you gotta do 2. So it's like, yeah, just put those on the side. Yeah, but I think that's the future of cons this year. Is I think it's just we don't know yet, and I think we make the call when we know. I know a lot of small artists and stuff are doing pop-ups in like the parking lot at a comic book store. So I know that's starting to happen a little bit, which is kind of cool. And most of the independent artists are being really safe and stuff. We don't know. We've done this for a year now, so now we understand what's going on, and you just wing it. Like, hey, this is happening. Okay, here's what we can pull off in time. Like, hey, there's a con happening next month. Okay, we'll be there. Not with the new booth, but we'll be there with the old booth. And there's only 2 of us working because I'm not asking the rest of the staff to work. Like, so there's just different ways of how I think you're going to have to manage these things. And I think a lot of the bigger places, they've let all of their convention teams go because there's not a need for them because there haven't been conventions for a year. So you don't have a marketing team right now. You have your social team, but there's no on the ground kids. So that's a little hard when you're trying to run a pop-up or a setup or something for Comic-Con. Like, those teams aren't here. They've been laid off for a year. So you can't really bring them back right away because some of them have gotten other jobs. So it's just it's going to be weird. I mean, I think we've made it this far, which it was very touch and go for a while because we're a small company. But I think it's just, okay, we're online this year. Okay, cons are happening at the end of the year. Cool, we're going to cons then. Like, or hey, our squad isn't cool with it. Okay, we're not. And you just wing it. Like, you can't really plan on anything anymore.
In a world where getting your hair cut meant risking your neck, where Tsukumogami terrorized nice little villages for no reason, and the poor, helpless people of the Sengoku Jidai era of Warring States Japan 1407 to 1603 pray for the arrival of their savior, father-daughter, samurai, barber, kaiju vanquishers. But Hawk and Chick have vanished. It's time for a new hero, one that can sing! Yuku! Introducing Yuku, the singing samurai! Battling newer, fiercer, and more musical monsters. Starring Billy Ray Sugimoto. And best of all, he can talk the lantern talk.
Lanterns.
Yuku, the singing samurai, coming soon to streaming services in your village.
So once cons do start coming back, hopefully next year, the big cons, everything's back. Are you guys already planning your big return?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like, everything's already ready to go. Like, one of the fans actually named, there's 2 burgers of the day that we already know are the ones when we come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget what they are. We have them on the chart. But we already know which 2 we're using as soon as we're back. So we're like, all right, those are in. And then there's some stuff that we put on hold that'll be back. And it'll just be a big celebration of we're back. Like we're here, 100%. We're back in full bore. Let's go. And just we wanted it to be this year. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So when it happens, it happens. Like there's nothing. We've gotten a lot better with just rolling with what we can't control. Like,
Yeah.
Now, feel free to confirm or deny this, but might we see pickles?
well, 100% we're doing pickles, and we're doing. I know that's Fuzzy Door instead of it's Fox instead of Bento, but there's a big push for dinglings from Family Guy as well. And I mean, I'm not gonna not put "Be careful where your hat, be careful where you hang your coat" because boners on the back of a T-shirt. I'm not gonna not make that shirt for Family Guy. Like that's 100% gonna happen. And then like the pickles, I would love to make the pickles booth. But even for us, that's a little ridiculous. But I think definitely for sure we'll do pickles merchandise because it's so dumb. Like I think like we just keep running Madness Castle shirts and we just sell hundreds of them every time there's a new color.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Toddland hits that niche of, wait, is anybody going to buy a Madness Castle shirt? Yeah, everybody's going to buy a Madness Castle shirt. Like, is anybody going to get pickles? Yeah, oh yeah, they'll get pickles.
Even
like, and of course, you have to get the pins of like the two strippers. Like, you'll have to get the stripper pins. So we'll do that. And I know we've already talked before. We want to do the we're going to do the Hawk and Chick pins. We get both pins, but they'll come in like a VHS box. So they'll come in like the VHS box, and that's where you get the two pin set. So we know that's coming. We just don't know when. So there's a lot of stuff on deck of just trying to figure out when to space it out, and also for how to do this where it goes all year, because obviously we want to do Christmas stuff. Well, Christmas stuff has to drop in November. We want to do Thanksgiving stuff. Thanksgiving stuff has to be in October. Pride stuff is for June, but we're going to have to do all the pre-orders in end of April, because then we produce through mid-May and then we're shipping middle of May. So everybody has it end of May for all Pride month in June, because Pride parades might be back in June. We don't know. So like, it's just, again, like the schedule's just kind of moving, and it's like, all right, well, do we drop everything for WonderCon and Comic-Con, or do we do 4 pins and 4 t-shirts a month? Is that too much? Do we focus on Bob's here and we focus on another show here? Like, how do you do this? So
interesting. Now, I got the 10-minute warning on my you have free Zoom here, so we're gonna rapid fire some questions here. Whether or not you can say anything, will we see some movie merch for the Bob's movie? That's indefinitely pushed back.
Yeah, where are we at with that right now? September?
Your guess is there's been no date announced. It's been taken off the release list.
The movie exists. I'll confirm that.
There you go.
There is a movie. And I mean, we do all the Bob's merchandise. So if there's a Bob's movie, the company that does the Bob's stuff I would assume there's Bob's. Yeah, so
it's a safe assumption. All right, fair enough. Any hints as to what people can expect this year's releases from you all?
Like I said, it's on a post-it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right back there. I see it. Yeah.
I'm like, there's one of them here somewhere. I know, like I wrote it down somewhere.
One of the viewers will cut and zoom till we see.
Yeah, they will. People will go through the back of the board here, and I'm like, that stuff's all old, so that's not even a thing. But we keep it all on an Excel sheet of like all the shows, each other own tab, and then they're all broken into categories. So like we have like I think 50 pins right now, and those pins will get pulled apart into, okay, well only 20 of those are good. Okay, well what 5 are we using for WonderCon? What 5 are we using for Comic-Con? Like, okay, well when's the show premiere this fall? Okay, well let's save these 2 for the premiere. Let's save these 2 for Christmas. We always do Halloween pins, but is it better to release them in September, or is it better to do them for WonderCon just because it's a good Gene pin? Mm-hmm. So like we're just kind of breaking everything apart right now as to where it goes. The creative part is easy. The flighting and splitting it apart is the tricky part of where to go, because you're like, oh my god, this is great. Yeah, there's no Tina stuff in that delivery. Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, resort it, because there has to be Tina stuff in here. And like, okay, we don't have any Linda. We have to have Linda in here. So like, it ends up being like, okay, well, you got to cover certain characters, and we only get 6 pins. Well, there's 4 that we have to have. So that's where we start moving stuff around a little bit. So it's all over the place. We don't know right now. I mean, I know there's a lot of t-shirts. There's a lot of the Burgers of the Day will be happening again. Mm-hmm. I think we are going to bring back the Burgers of the Day from last year, just as new colors. Okay. Because we never reissue anything. I know Madness Castle will be back in a new color. We are working on some sweatshirts and stuff. that are pretty fun. Yeah, like right now it's the same categories just until contracts and stuff can get updated with some things and just making sure we can do them. I know like the necklaces are pretty good. Like everybody likes the necklaces. More Andy and Ollie. Everybody loves Andy and Ollie. So we'll do more Andy and Ollie stuff. And then we did the Andy and Ollie necklaces, like the best friend necklace. And then we've still got some of the Bob and Linda necklace left. And I think the next one's Tammy and Jocelyn. So we'll do Tammy and Jocelyn. Or we were going to do Little King Trash Mouth. And what's the other one?
There's El Diablo.
There's El Diablo, there's Little King Trash Mouth, and there's a third one.
Or its husband, Gary?
Gary, that's what it was. It's Little King Trash Mouth and Gary. So the problem is Gary's never been on camera. So nobody knows what Gary looks like. So we're like, I guess it could just be anybody. So we're like, okay, so we'll see what that is. But so we're gonna do some of the raccoons. We'd like to bring back some of the Questronaut stuff. But yeah, I know right now it's Andy and Ollie, and it's definitely the Burger of the Day stuff. No masks right now. That's a contract thing. And it also gets into like medical testing. Even though it's like, yeah, it's a whole thing because it's a cloth mask. So obviously don't perform surgery in it, but we don't have a contract to make PPE. So it's a whole thing. Like we got them, they're designed. They look super cool. They were designed back in March, but we don't have the okay to do them. So it's cool when they show up on Etsy and you're like, cool. So yeah.
So you're saying I can do surgery in them?
You can do whatever you want. Like, there's no. It's America in 2021. There's no rules.
Will there be any new wallets?
Again, waiting. They are on the list to get added.
Okay.
So there's it all comes down to contracts. So because we've done them before, but different contracts, different companies. So that stuff's all changing a lot lately. But we did Jean, we did Tina, we did Linda, we did Bob, and we did Louise. So we have everybody. I think we have the whole family.
I would suggest a fish odor wallet.
We are doing fish odor pins are on the list. So we have a 2-pack of fish odor pins on the list. And then I forget what the one, we had a really good wallet planned. But again, it's just on hold. So there's a lot of stuff, like everything that you guys see, there's probably 10 times as much just sitting on deck, waiting in limbo for things to happen. Like, and it's some really fun stuff, but it's just, we're almost there. So.
Interesting. Now let's look into the future a little. For the past couple of cons where we've been able to go to, Toddland is one booth of the con.
Yep.
Now I've never been, so is that, I don't know if that's a fan driven thing or folks
it's a fan driven thing. So like what happens is the SDCC unofficial blog, which is really the blog, they're the ones that's where you go for all of your info for everything for the con. They're unaffiliated with Comic-Con, so they can do whatever they want. So like they're really good with Hasbro's doing this right and hotel bookings are doing this wrong. So like they're really good at being just blatantly honest about everything. And their readers are the ones that vote. So they're the ones that decide on who gets that. So they bring it into like, usually there's like 5 or 10 selections that they can pick from, and they're usually FU. Oh, who's the best booth? Marvel, Star Wars, DC, Toddland, Hasbro, Funko, and you're like, hey, and you're just Wayne's World. You're like, I like to play, like, because we get to be with those. But all of our fans read the blog, so all of our fans read the blog and they follow those guys. So it kind of helps us a little bit, and you can get stuff from us, so you're not waiting in line overnight for a raffle ticket for something. So we have a little bit of advantage that we're fans too, versus giant, massive billion-dollar properties that will put a celebrity up there that you're never going to get near. Whereas they can come up to them, they can yell right at me if they want. So, and they
do. I've had the pleasure.
They usually do. The fans never do. The flippers do, but they like to yell at us. But yeah, so we've been very fortunate to win that 3 years in a row, which is good. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it also doesn't hurt that we have the best spot on the floor. So us having all the Fox shows being directly next to Fox helps.
So what I'm hearing is Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Funko, they hold nothing compared to what Toddland can do.
Yeah, I can't even believe they list them with us. Like,
right?
I was like, don't even list them. So, yeah.
We got their case.
Yes. Time. He's correct.
Yes. Yeah, we got less than a minute. So I hate to wrap it up, but Zoom's telling me we have to. Todd, thanks again for sitting down with us. Is there anything you want to plug before we are booted from the internet here?
No, just follow everybody's Twitter pages. Watch The Great North. We're totally not biased. Watch The Great North. All the first 5 episodes are up right now. And then if anybody didn't see Bob's Valentine's Day episode last night, I would say it's probably as good, if not better, than the trapeze episode.
Chase Gay.
With Matt the limo driver, which is hands down one of the best episodes of all time. It was just super sweet last night and fast. Like everybody's firing. Like Eugene's on and Kristen's on, and like the story's good and it's written well, and it's a great episode last night. Like everything last night was super fun. The Simpsons was fun, and Family Guy was fun, and The Great North was perfect. I think it's been their best episode so far. And then Bob's was just a perfect Bob's episode. Like it was good. So last night was super fun. It was worth the wait after watching cars drive around in a circle for 80 hours. But we finally got it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But I mean, I celebrate the network's programming across the board. They're fantastic.
Well, Todd, thanks again for sitting down with us, and hopefully we can sit down with you again. Maybe see you at a con in the near future.
Hopefully, or I'll just change it to a con background and we can pretend.
There you go. Thanks again, Todd. Have a good one.
You're the best, man. That was great. Mike, thank you so much for running that interview with Toddland. Toddland, by the way, you can see their work at, what is their website, Mike?
Yes, their website would be toddland.com. And if you wanted to follow them on Instagram and Twitter, they're at Toddland Store. So pretty simple.
All right. Thank you. And that was our first very, very special interview. I really should practice these things and finish on the proper notes. Anyway, so that was the end of the special.
I thought that was pretty polished.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Okay, folks, brace yourself, people. It is now time for... It's time for the Fan of the Week. Now, every week, one of us will pick a fan off of social media for a shout out. You never know who it's going to be or what they're going to be doing, but this week, JB found someone really great. What do we got, JB?
So this week I found somebody on Etsy, and actually their first initial post that caught my eye was on the Facebook page. Someone had bought this outfit for a baby that they're going to have later this year, and it was basically a knitted jean costume, just completely knitted from head to toe, and also came with a Burger Boy suit. And I was like, that is so cool that they can actually do that. And so I checked out her work, and she actually does Louise, Tina. She has all kinds of other stuff, Disney things, princesses, Ninja Turtles, just all kinds of just nerd stuff, and does custom work as well. So you can also custom order something if you want. So her name is, because I always forget the name, is going to be Inspired by Bella 25 on Etsy. And definitely going to order something someday.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down her page right now, and she covers every possible fandom in the world. We have a lot of Disney stuff here. There's some Harry Potter things. There's a little crocheted Pinocchio baby outfit.
Yeah, I saw that. There's just a lot of cute stuff, and honestly, like the Bob's ones, I think would be just amazing anyway. Even if there was just a coochie Kopi for like a newborn, I think that'd be amazing to have.
I didn't get far, but I already found my favorite. It's the Eeyore crocheted outfit. I absolutely love Winnie the Pooh. He's one of my favorite.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
And yeah, that is. I don't have any kids of my own, but if I did, I would certainly buy one of these.
Mm-hmm. That's right, people. Even with beards, we still have hearts.
Mm-hmm. Some say the biggest.
Yes.
Also, if you don't have a kid, you could dress your pets up in these things. I would assume.
Well, I'm sure she could find a way to make one for pets.
Maybe I'll try one on my dog.
It sounds like you probably will need to get clearance from her specifically, because I don't know, maybe these things are not fire rated safety for pets, because pets like to play with fire and switchblades and that kind of thing.
And if we learned anything from our interview, that's something we have to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a test?
Or maybe not. I don't know if that was in the interview or not.
See, that's how much good stuff that we do for you folks. We interview these people for like 19 hours at a time. We get the very best stuff and cut it down to just that wonderful 30, 40, 70, 90 minutes that you just saw.
Oh, and you're lucky. Lucky.
All the good stuff.
Just calm down, Mike. Don't lash out yet. It's only episode 2.
You'll make it. You will make it.
All right. Well, that was our fan of the week. Thank you very much, JB, for bringing to our attention. Inspired by Bella25 on Etsy. Check her out. It's a lot of fun stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. Now there's a little. This is our time where we've decided we're going to do all sorts of little fun bonus things, but not this week. We're not going to do anything creative or silly or fun. We just want to actually like kind of geek out on the newest Bento Box show. We're talking about The Great North.
Yeah.
And,
Yes. Just got caught up, and I'm ready to talk about that. Great North, great writing. Honestly, there was so many good one-lines and things in there. It was just like Wendy and Lizzie did such a good job with this show. And at the ending of each episode, it says like 2 sister productions. So I wonder if they're a bigger role in this show than just writing. And it's incredible, just the cast of like voices that they have, and just there's so much room to go. And it's just, I'm excited for it. I think it's got a lot of potential to be really good.
So Mike, what have you seen in your viewings of The Great North?
It
What are your opinions?
has already one of my favorite lines in a show that I've ever heard. I quote it ever since I've seen it, and I mean, nobody gets it because it's out of context, but it's when, what is her name? Honeybee, when she says, does the hospital accept donated medicine for the children's hospital?
Yes.
Because the story is the wife left to go get medicine to give to the children's hospital, and she follows up with, they accept donated medicine? That
Yeah.
absolutely killed me.
And on her way back, she got eaten by that bear
No, the show
in Pennsylvania.
that
Yeah,
and
every episode ends with someone getting eaten by a bear.
yeah, that Sexy Moose, and yeah, it's, and Nick Offerman's perfect in it in the role as the as the dad.
Nick playing Nick.
Yeah, it's just him. It's the writing's great, but what would you expect? You expect anything less? Absolutely not. It's I wouldn't say it's, I don't want to say it's a worthy successor to Bob's, because it's a great show on its own and it stands on its own. It doesn't play second fiddle to anything, but it is absolutely perfect.
I was just gonna say, I really have gotten to like Moon quite a bit. And I really like the voice actor who plays Moon, and the Cadaver run. I really enjoyed Moon's just like play dead. Just like the stop breathing, stop talking, just become one. And it was like, oh, this is kind of morbid but still funny. And Moon's still out there at the end of the episode waiting for someone to find them.
Moon's going to stay out there until the next week. Yeah. Moon doesn't care if it gets covered with snow or ice or bear skin. They're Moon is dedicated. Because this is made by the same people who were among the original creators of Bob's Burgers, it's inevitable that they're going to be compared, like almost like character to character, line to line with Bob's. And it's not necessarily fair. It's not necessarily a good or bad thing. Actually, I think it's a pretty bad thing. Things should be allowed to stand on their own, in my opinion. But from this show, what I've seen is that you could superficially certainly map people onto someone else in the show, but in just the first few episodes, they've really managed to blow all that apart. Now, there is no easy analog between either of these two shows. Now, Bob is not Beef. Moon is not Linda, despite the fact they both wear costumes, which is, again, I've seen people jump on. They are completely realized, unique new characters, and the voice actors are so freaking good. They're incredible. and they're really creating brand new people. Although, with Nick Offerman, kind of like H. John Benjamin, he doesn't seem to change his voice very much from one role to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Beef is a completely different character from anything I've seen him do.
Yeah, I think the only thing that kind of ties the two shows together and gives people any kind of ammo to say, oh, this is just a Bob's ripoff, is the animation style. I mean, they are similar. It is from the same people who did Bob, so there, of course, there's going to be some kind of similarities between the two. But beyond that, there's no comparing the two. They're distinctly different. The humor, kind of, but not so much.
I would say the humor is more like Bob's season 1. It's a little more like teenage, older adult humor, and I actually kind of missed that a little bit about Bob's, but I think Bob's has kind of developed its own thing now, and I like that Great North is kind of separated, and it's like we're going to have a little more of that kind of humor in there, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I like
great.
it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great observation that the humor is like newer. It's like we're seeing something that just came out of the factory, and it's still fresh. There's still those little plastic nubs on the edges that haven't worn off yet, but those are the great bits. Those are the things that make it unique and hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And for what it's worth, and this is just a tiny little thing that not necessarily something I picked up on because it's very obvious, but I like the fact that it's not a traditional family. Like the mom's not there. The older son and his fiance live with the family too, so it's kind of a mixed family of sorts with the fiance coming in and living with them, but the mom not being there. So it's a single parent just doing his best with all these kids. Typically, you have shows like I won't name other shows because it's not fair, but you have a traditional family unit. And here, not so much. And I dig that.
Mm-hmm. I like that they're kind of showing Beef trying to find his, like, not a new spouse or anything, but just getting back out there and, like, just starting to talk to, like, people and see what dating's like. Because he's still so torn up about his, like, wife leaving him and everything. But it's just nice to see that the kids are really supportive of that and they understand that his pain's there. They're just like, we're going to be there for him. Because they're like, I think that's the one thing that did carry over for me from Bob's was the family cohesion, that they are there for each other no matter what. And I think that's such a cool underlying thing to have in a show, because really that's a great message to send to people.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is Ham the first openly gay character we have?
The first what lead? Sorry?
The first openly gay character. He's gay, correct? Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's the first openly gay.
They openly
gay
addressed that, I think, in the second episode, or maybe it's the first.
Yeah,
but
it was such
very
a throwaway
early
thing. Yeah, it's a throwaway thing. He says that he's gay, and the family goes, "We know, we love you. It's not a big deal." And they move right on past it, which is great. It wasn't a drawn out storyline. It wasn't an after school special type of episode thing. They just treated it like it was something completely normal, which it is, of course. And they just moved on. It was just another day. They know, and I thought it was great.
I agree. I'm very happy that the world has gotten to that point where someone who's gay is no longer considered different or so different that you have to do a special story about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just part of the family. They're just real. It's a great place to have gotten to, and I'm significantly older than you folks, and I'm probably like 10 times older than most of the fans listening to this thing right now. I'm old enough to remember the 1970s and the 1960s, and how you weren't even allowed to say the word gay on TV, let alone have any kind of gay behavior, unless you're slamming it and making fun of it. And absolutely none of that here. I've noticed almost every review of this show in major publications has talked about how fundamentally kind everybody is, which is a real big shift in what we had from Fox Animation like a couple of decades ago with The Simpsons and Family Guy, where having a heart was important, but they weren't necessarily nice or good people who were showing us their heart. They were reluctantly being nice.
I was going to say Meg was not respected much.
She still isn't, but she gets one line in every episode. So therefore, Mila Kunis can pick up yet another residual check. That's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars each time she just says, hey, it's cool. It's a great job. It's a great gig to have.
It's almost as if those other shows treat being kind or a loving family as a throwaway thing, like as the credits roll. It's like, oh yeah, and we love each other, but no worries about that. We got a chicken fight. So, but that is not the case here, and I love that. Not to bash on other shows, whichever they may be, but.
Okay, folks. Well, that will do it for this week's edition of North to Wharf, the podcast that's all about you, the greatest fans in the world. Now, remember, if you're a super fan who makes any kind of fan art, we want to interview you right here on this show. Now, here's how. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. We're all going to be at North to Wharf, I think, is most of our hashtags or handles.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, at any of those places or at our email account, which is at North to Wharf, is it? At Gmail?
From North to Wharf at gmail.com.
Thanks, guys. I really should know this stuff before I start getting into the boilerplates. Anyway, so send us a note if you want to meet us. Include a sample of your art. It could be a drawing. It could be mixed media, crochet stuff, video, music. Maybe you do TikTok things, anything.
Even impressions. We'll take that.
That's a valid art form. Matter of fact, that's going to be a new category in the Oscars starting next year. So now get your impressions ready. Anyway, so that's how to get in touch, and that's how to get on our show. And we want all of you eventually to be interviewed on this show. And I know there's a lot of you, and all of you deserve to be on here. So our thanks to our listeners, to our supporters, and thanks always to the amazing people at Bento Box Entertainment for making all of our favorite shows. Now, don't forget to watch the new episodes of Bob's and the Great North every Sunday night on Fox. And for Mike, JV, and myself, Hawk, thank you for watching. And we shall see you next time on From the Great North to Wonder Wharf. From north to wharf, 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 north to wharf. Someone wants to say cut.